If you're a veteran or you're 62 or older, there's $6,400 in July payments that could be heading your way right now, and most people have no idea these programs even exist. We're talking about a combination of IRS stimulus payments that are still being processed, Social Security Administration back pay that's finally getting distributed, and emergency grocery and medical assistance that just got expanded this month. Here's what's crazy. While everyone's focused on the big headline stimulus news, these targeted programs are quietly putting thousands of dollars directly into the accounts of veterans and seniors who qualify. I've been tracking federal benefit distributions for the past 3 years, working directly with families who've navigated these systems, and July 2025 is turning out to be one of the biggest months we've seen for these specific demographics. The federal agencies have been processing these payments in waves, and July represents the convergence of multiple payment cycles that rarely align like this. What makes this month particularly significant is that several emergency funding authorizations are expiring soon, which means this could be your last opportunity to access some of these benefits at their current levels. But here's the thing that's going to surprise you. The reason so many people are eligible for these payments isn't what you'd expect, and the deadlines to claim some of these benefits are coming up faster than most people realize. There's also a processing quirk that's causing some people to receive money they didn't know they were owed, while others are missing out on payments they absolutely qualify for. Let me break down exactly what's happening with each of these payment streams, because they're all connected, but they work completely differently. And understanding these differences could mean the difference between getting your money and missing out entirely. First, the IRS stimulus piece, which is more complex than most people realize. There are still people who never received their full economic impact payments from 2020 and 2021, especially veterans who had address changes during their service transitions or seniors who don't normally file taxes because their income comes primarily from Social Security. The IRS has been processing what they call plus-up payments throughout 2025, and July is when they're clearing a massive backlog specifically for people over 62 and veterans with service-connected disabilities. If you received less than $3,200 total from the 3 rounds of stimulus payments, or if you never got them at all because of filing issues, the IRS is automatically recalculating eligibility based on updated tax records and cross-referencing with other federal databases. Veterans are particularly affected because many had their benefits managed through the VA system, which created processing delays with the Treasury Department that took years to resolve. The IRS also discovered that many seniors who receive Social Security didn't get their stimulus payments because of address mismatches between SSA records and IRS records. They've now synchronized these databases, and the July payment wave includes corrections for these discrepancies going back to 2020. What's interesting is that the IRS is also paying interest on these delayed payments. If you were supposed to receive $1,200 in 2020, but you're getting it now, you're actually receiving closer to $1,350 because they're required to pay interest on the delayed amount. Most people don't know this is happening because the IRS isn't sending separate notifications about the interest calculations. The Social Security Administration back pay situation is a different beast entirely, and it's probably the most significant for people who are already receiving benefits. This isn't regular Social Security. This is retroactive payments for people whose benefits were undercalculated due to a processing error that affected cost of living adjustments between 2022 and 2024. Here's what happened. The SSA's computer system that calculates COLA increases had a programming error that affected approximately 800,000 people. The error was subtle. It correctly calculated the percentage increase, but applied it to the wrong base amount for people who had specific types of benefit modifications or who had started receiving benefits during certain time periods. For someone who's been receiving Social Security for 2 years, we're talking about an average back pay amount of $1,800. If you've been on benefits longer, or if you have a higher monthly payment, that number goes up significantly. I've seen cases where people are receiving back pay amounts over $4,000 because the error compounded over multiple years. The SSA started these distributions in June, but July is when the largest batch goes out because they're processing claims in order of when people first became eligible for benefits. They're also paying interest on these amounts, calculated from the date each payment should have been made. Now, the grocery and medical aid programs are where things get really interesting, and this is where the timing becomes crucial. The Emergency Food Assistance Program and the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program both received emergency funding extensions through Congress in late June. But these extensions are temporary and targeted. What happened is that the original allocations for 2025 ran out faster than expected because of inflation and increased need, particularly among veterans and seniors on fixed incomes. Congress approved additional funding that specifically targets these demographics with simplified application processes and increased benefit amounts. For groceries, qualified individuals can receive up to $200 per month in electronic benefit transfer cards, but there's also a catch-up provision for people who were on waiting lists earlier in the year. If you applied for food assistance in the first half of 2025 but were denied due to funding constraints, you're automatically eligible for retroactive benefits dating back to your original application date. For medical assistance, the program covers prescription copays, medical equipment, transportation to medical appointments, and even some types of home care services, with a maximum benefit of $2,400 per year. But here's the key detail. Veterans with service-connected disabilities can stack this benefit on top of their VA medical benefits, and seniors can use it to cover Medicare gaps that traditional supplemental insurance doesn't handle. The application process for these programs has been streamlined specifically for July. Instead of the usual 30-day processing time, applications submitted in July are being processed within 10 business days, and benefits can be backdated to the beginning of the month regardless of when you apply, as long as you apply before August 15th. Here's what makes July special. All three of these programs are processing payments simultaneously. And if you qualify for multiple programs, you can receive benefits from all of them. A veteran over 62 who is underpaid on both stimulus and Social Security could potentially see $6,400 or more in combined payments this month, plus ongoing monthly benefits from the food and medical assistance programs. The qualification process varies by program, but there are some universal factors that increase your chances of qualifying for multiple benefits. If your 2023 adjusted gross income was under $50,000 and you're either a veteran or over 62, you likely qualify for at least two of these programs. If you're a veteran over 62 with an income under $35,000, you probably qualify for all three. For the IRS payments, you don't need to do anything if you filed taxes in the past 3 years. They're processing automatically based on your tax records and cross-referencing with VA and SSA databases. For SSA back pay, if you're currently receiving Social Security, they'll send you a notice before depositing the back pay. But the notice might arrive after the deposit, so don't panic if you see unexpected money first. For the food and medical assistance programs, you do need to apply, but the applications are streamlined and can be done online, over the phone, or even at certain community centers and VA facilities. The online applications take about 15 minutes to complete, and you can upload documents using your phone camera. But here's where it gets tricky, and this is something that's catching a lot of people off guard. The federal agencies aren't coordinating these announcements, so you might receive money in your account without any advance notice. I've heard from viewers who thought they were victims of a banking error because they suddenly had an extra $2,000 in their account with just a generic U.S. Treasury or SSA deposit label. Some banks are flagging these deposits as suspicious because they're larger than usual government payments, which can actually freeze your account temporarily while the bank investigates. If this happens, don't panic. Just call your bank and explain that you're expecting federal benefit payments. It helps to have this conversation with your bank before the payments arrive. The other twist is timing, and this is critical. While the IRS and SSA payments are automatic if you qualify, the grocery and medical assistance programs have application deadlines that are stricter than usual. The emergency funding that's making these expanded benefits possible expires at the end of September, which means applications need to be submitted by mid-August to ensure processing. But there's also a lesser-known provision that if you're denied for any of these programs initially, you have a fast-track appeal process that normally takes 90 days but is currently taking only 30 days due to the emergency processing procedures. Many people don't know about this appeal option, and it's resulted in thousands of people receiving benefits they initially thought they weren't eligible for. Additionally, there's a coordination issue between programs that's actually working in favor of applicants. Because these programs are being processed simultaneously, qualifying for one often triggers automatic reviews for the others. So if you apply for food assistance and get approved, the system automatically checks your eligibility for medical assistance and flags your record for IRS and SSA review. So here's where we stand. If you're a veteran or you're 62 or older, July 2025 could bring you significant payments from up to 3 different federal programs, with the possibility of ongoing monthly benefits that could continue through the rest of the year. The IRS is clearing stimulus payment backlogs and paying interest on delayed payments, which means some people are receiving more than the original stimulus amounts. The SSA is paying back undercalculated cost of living adjustments with interest, and these payments are substantial, often thousands of dollars for people who've been receiving benefits for several years. The emergency food and medical assistance programs have expanded eligibility and increased benefit amounts, but they require applications and have firm deadlines. The key advantage right now is expedited processing and the ability to backdate benefits to earlier in the year. The automatic payments, stimulus and Social Security back pay, should show up without any action on your part if you qualify. The assistance programs require applications, but the process is straightforward and the benefits are substantial enough to justify the time investment. For the automatic payments, keep an eye on your bank account and don't panic if you see unexpected deposits from federal agencies. Consider calling your bank to let them know you're expecting federal payments to avoid any account holds. For the assistance programs, the clock is ticking on applications, so if you think you might qualify, it's worth applying sooner rather than later. The key thing to remember is that these aren't loans or advances. They're payments and benefits you're entitled to receive. The federal government is simply catching up on processing and distributing money that should have reached eligible people months or even years ago. Taking advantage of these programs doesn't affect your other benefits or create any future obligations. If this breakdown helped clarify what's happening with these July payments, hit the like button to help other veterans and seniors find this information. These programs have specific deadlines and limited funding, so sharing this video could literally help someone in your community access thousands of dollars in benefits they're entitled to receive. And if you want to stay updated on federal benefit programs and payment schedules, subscribing to the channel ensures you won't miss important deadlines or new program announcements. I often get early information about program changes and funding extensions that don't make mainstream news until it's too late to take advantage of them. Let me know in the comments if you've received any of these payments or if you have questions about the application processes. I read every comment and often turn your questions into future videos. I also pin resources and links in the comments section that can help you navigate these applications more easily.